Hello there YouTube, I am Wheelchair21 and on today's rolling review, it is obviously the long-awaited Super Mini-Pla Jet Garuda from Premium Bandai's release. Yes, you can tell that just by freaking this awesome protective, I guess, case storage cardboard box here, and the fact that it has the similar logo to the Jetman. So, obviously, we gotta go get our actual set out of this little container. Now, our actual box can be displayed in a long format height, where this is similar to the original actual deluxe Jet Garuda set, whereas the Super Mini-Pla set here tries to, in a sense, pay homage to the original release. We have the actual stats for our Bird Garuda, which is the full length of 54 meters. We have the weight at 105 tons, and the height of its speed is Mach 20, whereas Jet Garuda itself is 60.8 meters tall, 105 tons in weight, and Mach 6. So, there's your stats. However, like I said, this is the long style for displaying the box, whereas you can also display it this way, in width. The width format is more standard to how most people, in a sense, sell this figure as an release online, like on eBay. A lot of people usually show it using this style of the box art, where we get a better look at our Bird Garuda, Jet Garuda. The stats are actually reprinted on this side of the box, as well as it shows the combination with Jet Icarus's Icarus Haiken for the full Icarus Garuda Haiken, or Great Haiken. And honestly, this is a really nice feature to the overall box art and display. So, I mean, there's a lot of artistic value in this, where we actually have a huge homage to the original actual toy and the actual suit. I didn't actually pay attention to that. Yeah, we have the actual Jet Garuda suit here on the box, which is really akin to having the deluxe toy. And if anyone's wondering why I'm, like, really enamored by this, it's just because of actually owning Jet Garuda. I'm, like, seeing all the comparisons to, you know, the original toy, obviously. And so with that, we can start actually assembling our set. Alright, after a couple of days of assembling Super Mini-Pla Jet Garuda, here we finally have it in its bird form. For people wondering how long it took me to build, I want to say it clocked in roughly about 6 hours, maybe 10 hours, due to the fact that I took a lot of time and care to spruce up this actual model kit to make sure there were no scorch marks when clipping the plastic from the runners. I took time to shave, I took time to file down as best as I could on this actual set, so it looks not just well in presentation value for myself, but for you, the viewer of this video. Now, this version of Jet Garuda is actually quite big for a Super Mini-Pla release, let alone an average Mini-Pla release. So, with this right now, what you're looking at bird form, from beak to the back here, this is roughly 7.5 inches long. I at least tried my best to measure it, and that's pretty big, honestly. So, with that, without even looking at detail, this is going to be one huge robo once we actually extend out its legs. So, first off, a lot of the back parts here of the wings are actually highly stickered. Now, it's interesting, though, that the box art actually depicts the stickers in a very weird way, where the stickers on this side of the wings are actually inverted on the actual box art. So I'm guessing whoever did the promotional images, as well as did the promotional building and or painting, got their color palette just ever so slightly mixed up. So these stickers are the right way, even though the box art actually shows the underside. And honestly, we have a lot of nice detail in the bird mode itself. Most of its actual details that we see in robot mode aren't too covered because of how it actually transforms and combines. As you can see, we have the actual torso of the actual Garuda robot mode. You can see the arms, you can see the nice gold painted plastic all over the place. You can even see the nice crest for when it's actually Great Icarus combined. And you see quite a lot of the nice detail overall. In addition, you actually have a pretty wide wingspan. Now, I didn't actually clock in the wingspan, but I'm assuming that it's somewhere between 8 to maybe even 10 inches, which we can easily just check. So, from here to here, that's about 7.5. So, overall, the wingspan of the Mini-Pla itself is about a full foot. It clocks in around a full foot, okay? So, this is one huge SOB right off the bat. So when you think about this being a 7-inch long mecha from the front of the plane or bird mode to the back end of its thrusters, and then you're combining it, I should say, with Icarus Haiken, which is a 5-inch long jet. This is going to be 12 inches straight from the tip here to the back here. Now, for combination, it's actually rather interesting because what you actually need to do is disassemble a bit of the actual head configuration just to get out the part. So what you need to do is move down the arms. I'm just going to take off this arm to make it easier. Take off the part here that actually attaches it to the back. Switch off the other arm and detach that. We're going to need this white piece right here that's under the back. This thing is a very pivotal piece for combination purposes. And then we're going to take off the head. Now the head is actually on 2 small pin joints that look very fragile in the grander scheme of things. But hopefully it doesn't break in this review or at all. And then we're going to want to rotate the head up. This is what you're going to need to essentially do. It's going to get a little bit more hectic after this in just a moment, because we're going to need to plug this in here. Alright, once plugging that in, and the other arm falls off now, we're going to reassemble our actual back. So we're going to plug it back as if we're actually in regular jet mode or robot mode. Pull these tabs down ever so slightly. Pull these down. Then we're going to actually reassemble our arms in a moment. I just want to take a quick moment to show that it has a cool kind of wrist gimmick to recreate its hinged attack when it's in bird mode, as well as just move. It's kind of its wrist in general. It's a wonky design, but it's pretty cool. We'll see that a little bit more later in the review. And then with the 2 parts here, we're going to plug it in here where the actual thighs plug into, if I recall. No, this would be the ankle area, so that's not actually there. So, my bad. And then we just plug that in. We're going to need to re-plug in our arms now. And as I'm plugging that in, we'll be done in just a second. This is a rather easy transformation to do. It's a little difficult on camera, but now we have Great Haiken. And honestly, it's pretty big. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of wild. Do I like this form? Not necessarily do I like this form. I think it feels very spaceship-like. I feel that it's supposed to be like a supercharged version of the like Haiken Phoenix or the Jet Phoenix attack. So I don't essentially think it's the greatest formation, but it has, I guess, a small pivotal purpose of a propulsion system, maybe juicing up the attack if they can't combine. It's kind of weird, and like I said, this is literally 12 inches long, because I'm looking at my Voltron from Treadmasters, and just off to the side here, it goes pretty much right up to the top of the lion head from the back of these thrusters all the way up to the beak, as I just moved it off camera ever so slightly. So, yeah, this is one hefty SOB from length, even to, like, height if you stand it up like this. So, this is one giant badass SOB. But no one really cares about this form, so let's reassemble our Garuda, not into bird form, but into actual robot form. Now, for robot form, the best way to start is actually with moving the arms. I'm just going to take them off for simplistic reasoning. We have our elbow joint here. We got to pull it all the way out so it's flush here. If you get this area flush, you're going to have a good time. You're going to actually have a good angle of movement, and it's not going to be really crappy if you think about it. So we got one arm. We're just going to do that again with this arm. It's just easier to disassemble, just to make sure you get everything locked and loaded and just the pistons connected correctly. And then with your legs, the legs, easiest thing to do, just like the deluxe toy, disassemble it. Now, don't actually pull it off from the torso, because that's rather stupid. That was my bad. That was my bad, everyone. But pretty much get the legs off. Get the legs off. we're going to want to rotate the ankle, rotate that, and then if I recall correctly, since now I accidentally took it off from the waist, we're going to want to do this again, push this back on, and then I'm going to want to quickly just check the instructions probably to make sure I got the ankles in the right position. Oh yeah, and then what you want to do is pull out the legs. For some reason the legs are pressure locked because this piece here on the back is like your actual knee joint for when it's Great Icarus. So the best way to do it is always like pop that out and then pull. For some reason, one of the legs just likes to get stuck on me. Alright, after getting your legs untangled, untwisted, I gotta remember now. I'm assuming this is your right leg. This is your left leg. I'd rather forget. It's so simple to do so. And then just start assembling your pieces back on. Let's get this leg here. Let's get this arm. Let's get this arm. Let's reposition the head. And then change our focus and angle. Alright, so after repositioning our camera, here we have Garuda in robot form, which I forgot to mention the little mouth here. Yeah, you see that? It actually is posable, like it is on the original deluxe toy. And honestly, this thing has a wide amount of articulation versus the original deluxe toy, which is a good thing. We have an actual head articulation. It goes from side to side. He kind of can go up to down due to the actual transformation of the actual mecha. He has an actual shoulder hinge built into his actual ability there, into his actual torso. He has an actual, I should say, shoulder rotation, so he can go up and down. He has an actual bicep swivel, elbow swivel, wrist swivel, actual hinged wrists, like we talked about earlier. So he has quite a huge range of articulation for just his actual arms. Like, he really has good arms. And then we also have the waist swivel. That's pretty good too. We also have nice hips. They're not too hindered by the actual, I guess you would say, skirt of the actual war gown. It can go up, it can go down. It can kind of bend down like an actual figure art hinge for its actual hips. It has a knee swivel. It has a thigh swivel. It's getting very frickin' SH figure artsy because it actually has like the hinged knee. I shouldn't say the knee, the hinged ankle. It has the ball jointed ankle because of its actual bigger, bulkier feet. It actually has a better weight distribution, so it doesn't get too top heavy. It can stand firm straight like the original deluxe toy. It can have dynamic poses. It can pretty much crouch up. It can stand tall. It can stand down. Yada, yada, yada. Its actual height when fully standing is around 8¼ inches. You can't see the full depth of it on my screen, but when I measured it from head to toe or head to foot, it's around 8¼ So this is one tall SOB on the original Treadmaster's Voltron, which I keep on my desk always. He goes right up to the broach of the chest, so like right around here, so it's almost at the top of the screen when he's standing straight and tall. I apologize for any of the weird sounds you hear off of the table. And then also we have, as another size comparison, which won't fit in frame, we have the original Garuda. So, like this, as you can see, he goes up to his own crotch. He can practically suck his own dick. Yeah. I know. It's effed up. It's messed up. But this is for comedic value and research. See? See, this is how tall he is. Look, he's practically that tall. He can suck his own junk. Ain't that crazy? And if anyone's wondering, why am I just showing that part of Garuda? That's because I don't have any Icarus to show off with that deluxe Garuda. Also, for another quick comparison, here's our actual Super Mini-Pla freaking Icarus himself. So, yeah, Icarus is a little bit trumped by this Mini-Pla release. However, due to the original deluxe toys, it makes sense. Now, you would think they'd be a little bit more in scale, but then again, the show does have size mass shifting issues all the time, ever since the early days of Sentai to the modern era now. I mean, look when we get Go-Go 5. It's gonna be one crazy SOB, nevertheless. So right off the hand, just for the base mecha and the actual base robot, it's a really good kit on a standalone release, and is a nice display piece next to, obviously, your main mecha. However, it's going to get even crazier in a moment when we begin the configuration for our frickin' actual Great Icarus. Alright, to begin combination, we're going to need to disassemble the thing, which I've already nicely done for everyone. So, we got our Mini-Pla disassembled. So let's begin. We're going to need to open up our torso, like the original toy, and we're going to need to nicely slide in our pieces. Now, this is the thing. You got to make sure you line it up right. And it's kind of a stupid gimmick in that regards, because you got to make sure you line it just so right that the waist slides right in. So then we get this nice collective unified phoenix on the chest piece here. I don't know if it fully tabs in. I'm guessing it just kind of aligns up, and you kind of hope it just stays firm. And so we got our key torso done. So we're going to go to our actual right arm. The right arm here comes together. How you do it is really simple. You flip and fold the arm. You then plug your arm in as so. So you want to plug it in on the right side here. Make sure it's tabbed in correctly. Fold it up like that, and you have your right arm. So that's actually a really interesting feature. Now, with the legs, they actually switch. So instead of this being your right leg, the condor, and swan being your left leg, they're going to actually flip polarities. They're going to flip sides on us. And we're going to now combine it like so. We're going to flip this over on the actual right leg here and peg this in. This part here is going to help stabilize the actual flow, I guess, of your overall leg. So it helps with the knee joint. We're going to then actually plug this into our torso. I shouldn't say our torso, but we'll plug it into our actual thigh, which actually is flipping and flopping all over the place. Luckily, it tabs in easily. We're going to go do the same on the other leg. We're going to flip. We're going to fold. We're going to align our actual knee upright. So now we have condor on the left leg. We're going to quickly tab that in as such. So far, we're good. I wish there was actually a real locking mechanism on the actual torso here, because I feel like it slips and slides a little too much up and down. Like, I don't know if that's just me, or am I doing something wrong? I feel like I'm not doing something right, but who knows? Who cares? We're good for the review thus far. With the other arm here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to flip and fold the thing out. We're going to take our hands here, plug them into the white part of the actual shoulder guard. We're going to plug that in here. We're going to plug it onto Garuda's shoulder now. And we're practically done. Now we just need to take the backpack of the overall wings here. We're going to need to fold this up, which I forgot to do for a majority of our review. Like, that was my bad. I forgot to fold it up until now, but it's not too much of a problem. Personally, I don't really care how you want to display it, whether they're up, whether they're down. That's all your choice. And for this, I forget how the rest of it tabs in. So 1 second, and I'll just finish it all off camera, and then we'll go into our full review of the combination and final evaluation. Alright, here we have Great Icarus. Great Icarus is actually a pretty cool combination in the show for Jetman, and it was actually a pretty cool combination as a toy, at least in deluxe form. In Super Mini-Pla form, I think there is obviously going to be an issue, at least with mine thus far, is because I'm noticing that, one, the legs just fly off the thighs, and that's just between Garuda's actual point to connect to his own thigh versus the overall Icarus port to its own thigh. So I think that even though they're engineered to work together, it all depends on how I think it's printed out, like the pieces come molded out of the factory. So depending on, I guess, each print made, it'll be a lot firmer and sturdier, whereas other people, it will be as loose as mine and just kind of flop off. But once you have it pegged in and you have the weight holding it down, you do have a pretty good display piece. I do think, though, the weight will kill Garuda's ankle joints because they're just ball joints, essentially. So it will die down. The knees aren't really necessary due to the fact that the mecha rarely really moved around too much. Once it combined, it hit its finishing move, and that was practically it in the show. And for the overall arms, since you're a combination of Garuda and Icarus, and they're already pretty good pieces, you do get an extra, like, hinge because of the actual Icarus shoulders. And with the elbows, you get a nice proportional stance here by combining the two. I've always liked this idea of how the arms work, whereas the legs, while they do look cool, in Super Mini-Pla form, they're not so sturdy. And also, we have an issue with the helmet plugging into the upper torso and the back to actually cover the full face. As you can see, there's a slight gap here in the actual armor bit, or the helmet, where it doesn't go flush with the upper bicep torso area to fully reveal Icarus's face, and it kind of goes up. Now, like I said earlier in the video, I did kind of forget to fold this up for the basic Garuda formation. However, here you see it now. That's what it looks like most of the time when it's in robot form. And you can also stick the little cod piece here for Icarus Haiken on the back. So overall, for my review and evaluation of this set, I gotta say, I think the biggest issue is really its legs. I think it can hold the weight, but it will, in a sense, diminish the stability over time just due to how the Garuda ankles are made, as well as, like I said, depending on how the factory prints the socket for your Icarus thigh, it might not actually stick to your Garuda thigh peg, so it might be a little bit wobbly, it might fall off, and you might have issues like just moving it from place to place. Like right now, it's got a firm lock, but when I was just easily just putting the thing together, the legs fell off like 3 or 4 times. So overall, what I can say about this is, for a premium Bandai kit, I think the overall construction, build, and assembly of Garuda is warranted because it kind of feels like a master grade, real grade level in some regards when you're building parts of its skeletal frame. But I do think it could have actually been sold at retail than being a P Bandai exclusive, due to the fact that obviously my issue and possible others may have quality control issues when linking up with Icarus. Maybe it's just a design flaw. Maybe, I don't know. Overall, though, if you don't have the original deluxe mechas, or you just can't afford to get them on the secondary market, since together they can cost anywhere between $250 to $500, this is a good beneficiary replacement for it, because 1, you get to build them, 2, you get to have a smaller area where they don't take up too much of your workspace, and 3, it costs only about anywhere between $120 to $150 before shipping and handling between the 2 kits together for a grand total. So I mean, I can't really hate it too much, but I am a little miffed that, like I said, if it falls off at the thigh, what the point is having legs then, you know? It's wow, even my Mini-Pla is disabled. Who would have thought? So honestly, that's all I can essentially say, is that for premium Bandai, I don't know if it's really worth it, but if you do need it, you're going to have to look on the secondary market. You're going to have to get a middleman service. You're going to have to possibly hope that they do another print of it in the future, so on and so forth. So I don't know really how to help you acquire Garuda at this point. But if you do have it, if you do enjoy it, if you don't have any issues, please leave a comment. Also, if you do like this review, please leave a like and subscribe if you already haven't. You can check me out on Twitter, you can check me out on Facebook, you can check me out on Instagram, and you can check out HeroClub.com for more information on other future Super Mini-Pla releases and other reviews and news about Tokusatsu. And I'll see you guys all next time.